Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at an animated musical from 2003. That movie is Interstella 5555, the 5 Tori of the 5 Ecrit 5 Tar 5 Istum. Do not correct me on that title. If those were meant to be pronounced as S's, then they should have put S's there. Now, as I stated in the past, I am not a fan of Daft Punk. I made that point abundantly clear when I reviewed Tron Legacy, but that didn't stop people from flat out demanding I review a musical featuring nothing but music from Daft Punk. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, even though I'm not a fan of the band, I'm still hoping to find something here. I have no idea what in the hell the story is. I don't know if there's going to be any dialogue. I don't know if this thing's going to have any kind of actual story. I know nothing except it's a musical featuring nothing but songs from a band I find mediocre at best. So I'm going into this thing, guys, completely blind. I have no idea. But the only way I'm going to find out if there's any kind of redeeming value to this thing is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Interstella 5555, the 5 Tori of the 5 Ecrit 5 Tar 5 Istum. You guys happen to know how I said I'm not a fan of Daft Punk? I want to make this much clear. This song? I hate this fucking song. I think this song absolutely sucks. I am not trying to shit on the movie because, hell guys, this thing here has some fantastic animation. I'm just here to say, this song is a piece of shit. Well guys, I believe I figured out why I don't like Daft Punk's music. Number one, it almost all sounds the same. They basically are the spin doctors of techno. And two, the shit is giving me a headache. Again, the story, at least, you know, what you can piece together, is pretty good, and the animation's awesome. But this horrendous music is really killing it, guys. I just kind of want to let everyone know. Alright, I really don't mean to, like split hairs on this, guys, but you can hear the song, right? This is supposed to be the band playing with a full orchestra in a large stadium. I don't hear an orchestra in there. In fact, I just saw them attempt to pass off what looked to be violins and cellos as more keyboard noise. It doesn't quite work, you know what I mean? Okay, I totally understand the sentiment here. I totally understand it is supposed to be sad. It's supposed to be, kind of sort of touching, but you're burying your alien friend on a planet he had never been on. This guy's, it just doesn't feel right. I mean, I totally understand that they probably would have no way of keeping his body preserved until they get back to their planet to bury him. But this just feels kind of, it just doesn't feel right, you know what I mean? Okay, I have a stupid question. Why the hell would this evil band manager have stashed away the stored, memories of this band in the same case that had the master copy of apparently the only song they ever recorded? Couldn't you have, I don't know, put it someplace else, maybe like put it in a safe, maybe go put it in a Swiss, bank account? Why the hell put it in the first place any human being will look if they have knowledge of these memory disks? I'm just kind of curious. Well guys, that was Interstella 5555, the 5 Tori of the 5 Ecrit 5 Tar 5 Istum. let me shut that off. And yes, I'm going to continue calling it by its full title as it is written, just because I'm just that kind of a douchebag. Anyway, before I get into the review proper, I want to make this point clear one last time, because I'm going to hopefully not have to say it again until this video is done. I am not a fan of Daft Punk, and this movie did not help their case any. In fact, if anything, it kind of made it worse, because I had to listen to their music for an hour, and even the one song I kind of liked, I'm starting to, hate just slightly, because it was shoehorned in here. But that is not because of the movie, that is because of the music. Let's just make that clear one final time. Not a fan of the band, so if I happen to make any shots at them, you know why. Now, why don't we start with the runtime? I understand I don't normally talk about the runtime for a movie, but this thing clocks in at just over an hour. In fact, as the credits rolled, the movie proper is 1 hour and 3 minutes. So that is kind of sort of a double-edged sword for someone like me. You see, because the plus side is I only have to deal with Daft Punk's crap for an hour. I only have to deal with their, like Eurotrash techno garbage for an hour. But the story here is really, really good. Unfortunately, they have to really gloss over elements in order to make it fit that ridiculously tight frame. And the reason why it's so tight is because they basically just took one of their albums and just set fucking animation to it and, screw it, and, screw it if the music has anything to do with the story. Of course, the ending, spoiler here, is found out to be the dream of a kid who fell asleep while listening to the album, which I can totally buy falling fucking asleep listening to, Daft Punk's music, but then again, I find their music boring. Anyway, so okay, that right there is your cop-out for showing that, that right there is why the visuals and the music don't match like every other musical on the goddamned planet. But anyway, we have here a fantastic story which is killed by the fact that it has to work with this really limited time frame. So there are questions that are left unanswered. Our characters are not given a whole lot of depth. Again, all this has to tie into the runtime. I will say, though, once more, writing-wise, the story here is fantastic. We have a very... Well, I actually can't say that it's fantastic. The writing here is interesting. The story, rather, is good. The story is something I would love to see fleshed out into a much longer movie, something that preferably has very little Daft Punk involved. Hopefully not even a musical, or well, this thing actually is not even a musical. As much as they want to promote it as a musical, it is essentially a techno. It's just sort of like a techno opera, and that phrase just sounds horrible. But anyway, something which has dialogue, something that'll help us flesh out these characters more and everything else. Because frankly, the music, guys, I'm going to tell you, it has so little to do with this, and it does not help in telling the story in the slightest. You could literally watch the whole fucking thing on mute, and you could be blasting, say, like, Megadeth, and it would have the exact same impact, okay? You could easily go and grab any fucking Megadeth album, let's say, Euthanasia. You could listen to that while watching this thing on mute, and it would have the same impact as the movie is with the audio that it has. In fact, it would probably be infinitely better just because I prefer Megadeth far over Daft Punk, but that's just me. So, our characters who are not really fleshed out much are still given a little bit of depth because everything in terms of animation is handled very, very similar to how you would handle a silent movie. So even though we don't have a whole lot of character depth, and these characters don't even have actual names except for stage names that are given to them after they have been brainwashed and their skin has been turned white and they've been dumped on Earth. we still can get a little bit of insight into them just simply by watching it and picking up all of the cues. In fact, there isn't a single character here who actually has a name. The story, I'm going to try to explain the story as best I can. It is basically about this band of aliens who are all, blue-skinned aliens who are from a planet of blue-skinned aliens who are picked up by an evil like band, manager, essentially. He brings them to Earth, and well, he basically makes them look more human by basically making 3 of them white and 1 of them black, and making them stars on Earth. And he's doing this as some sort of a plan to get 5,555 gold, records for reasons that are never really explained, because there is no song on the album which totally, which totally explains it, and they don't really have the time to attempt to explain it because they are working with a 3-minute song with I believe at that point has no fucking lyrics. So you basically have to just sit there and wonder why, and just sort of go along. And the story again would probably have been done far more justice if it were made into an actual movie instead of just a series of Daft Punk music, videos. I would love to see this thing made into a proper film, just simply because the story here, the story was incredibly promising. And if you happen to look at this thing as a silent movie, because it totally is, it is awesome as just a silent movie. And plus, well, then once more, you could just mute it and you could, go and replace the music with anything and it would work. Anyhow, so yeah, writing here is good. Animation is incredibly crisp, but then again that is because the animation is from Japanese studio Toei, and Toei does awesome stuff no matter what they are working on. So frankly, it really would have shocked me if the animation in this thing would have sucked. So we have fantastic animation, we have a really fascinating story. Really, guys, the only thing which kills this for me is the soundtrack. Now, mind you, if you are a fan of Daft Punk, especially, which album was this one supposed to be? Discover or Discovery, something like that. If you are a fan of that, album, and I mean a big fan of that album, you are going to love this fucking movie, because it's just that album. That right there is all that's playing in the background. So, frankly, if you are a huge fan of Daft Punk, well then shit, you have probably already watched this thing. And if you're not a fan of Daft Punk, well, best bet, yeah, just go ahead and find, and just sort of go ahead and find a band you do like, and just mute this thing and push play. And if you've never listened to Daft Punk before, go ahead and, give this thing a watch, because, hey, who knows? You guys actually might find something good there. So really, when all is said and done, guys, am I able to recommend Interstellar 5555, the 5 Tori of the 5 Ecrit 5 Tar 5 Istum? Kind of. Again, it all boils down to that damned music. And as much as I can say that you can just mute it and play anything else, the very fact that I would have to do that in order to sit through this thing a second time is not really a promising thing. So, even though I can tell you guys to go ahead and check it out, I am saying it a little bit tepidly, and that, again, has to do with my bias against the band who made it. So, yeah, go ahead, guys, check it out. I really guess that you just have to see this thing in order to fully experience it. And hopefully you guys will have a far better experience than I did. Mind you, I actually had a really good experience minus the music. So shit, you guys actually will probably have a blast with this thing. Now, because this is Fan Appreciation Month, Interstellar 5555, the 5 Tori of the 5 Ecrit 5 Tar 5 Istum, came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in is a YouTuber by the name of ThunderX TV. You guys can find his YouTube channel. I'm just going to assume that it's a he, and if I'm wrong, I'm totally sorry. Anyway, you can go and find his channel over at youtube.com/user/ThunderXTV. Swing over there and check out everything he has. Again, assuming that it's a he. And, dude, thank you. Because even though I had a ton of doubts going going into this thing, I totally walked out of it. I totally walked out of it enjoying the story. So, you know, thank you, because frankly, if I hadn't have put this thing on the wish list, and if you hadn't have bought it, I would never have bothered watching it, and I would never have experienced this really interesting story. So yeah, thank you. I really thank you for that one. Granted, I'm probably not going to keep this thing in my, you know, in my Blu-ray collection, because I really don't think I'm going to watch it a second time. It was totally worth watching the first time, even with my musical bias. It was totally worth watching once. So yeah, guys, once more, please swing on over to his channel. Once more, that is youtube.com/user/ThunderXTV. Check out everything which is over there, and if you happen to like what you see, sub. Now, as for me, all of a sudden, I'm actually kind of feeling in the mood for another opera. I'm gonna go pop in my copy of fucking Repo, because that is still probably one of the best rock operas I've ever seen. So yes, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.